Oh, hello there. Yes, well, it's the weekend, which means that I am having, spent, well, basically a bit of a slack week not doing anything because I'm merely a teacher. Get to have 2 days off where I get to do nothing at all because I'm merely a teacher. Yes, it's no wonder that people are scrambling to join or rejoin the profession, is it? We'll come back to that in a moment, yes. Anyway, I thought today we'd look at a selection of people who have been very, very hard done by from the system. There's a lot of it out there. People whinging their heads off who have nothing to whinge about. Exhibit number one, the Daily Telegraph, which gave us, I earned £575 in 6 months, the ex-Tory MPs who can't get a job. Yes, which highlights the dreadfulness of some Tory MPs who, having created the brilliant entrepreneurial type society that we now live in, are struggling to get a job. Odd that, isn't it? You would have thought they would have feathered their own beds in a kind of sensible way, but apparently the enormous transferable skills that they all have aren't particularly transferable. Plus, we do have inevitably right in the middle there, Jonathan Gullis, of course. You may recall that he has been trying to get a teaching job. Well, for a start, mate, I'd suggest that you put a tie on. Why don't you smarten yourself up a bit and not look like a scrote? Anyway, yeah, he's been complaining bitterly about the fact that he can't get a job because of all the woke teachers. But you may recall that when he was a junior minister in education, and we might well come back to some junior ministers in education, anyway, that he basically used his particular pulpit in the Commons to have a go at teachers. Yes, which is what you really want from a junior minister in education. Anyway, to the extent that he was actually told off by the speaker at the time that said he was deeply, deeply, deeply unprofessional human being. But oddly, he seems to think that having had that in his past, that people are going to be falling over themselves backwards to have him back in a classroom. And I'm sorry, but if I was, once again, a head teacher, I don't think I'd be that keen, because you can easily think that once the kids get to find out it's him, there will be no end to it. Why would you put yourself through that? Oh, it's dreadful, isn't it? He's a victim. No, it's Jonathan Gullis. I'm sorry. But no, we had Elon Musk, who was pointing fingers at all those nasty billionaires who apparently are going around buying up media assets to use for their own nefarious ends. Be awful if that happened, wouldn't it? Thankfully, we do have multi-billionaire Elon Musk to protect us from multi-billionaires. Yes, anyway, apparently George Soros has been at it again, buying radio stations. And if you want a hoot, you can actually have a look at that tweet, because it does contain quite a lot of very, very nasty and anti-Semitic stuff in it, which oddly hasn't been community noted. But I guess that's because it must be true in that case. Yes, apparently people are willing to believe that the Chinese are going to switch the internet off in the next day or two, and therefore community radio stations controlled by George Soros are going to be the ways we have to get our information from. Yes, that is entirely plausible, Elon. Anyway, probably my favourite was Mike Graham. Gotta love him. Independent Republic of Mike Graham. Yeah, not independent, doesn't know what a republic is, and not called Mike. Anyway, yeah, I put this out. The story of a guy who was run over by an automated train, and he had a big shout out to all those clever, highly skilled train drivers out there, the ones that keep telling me how hard their job is. Yes, indeed. Which is a bit odd, because the guy was, he had a heart attack, I think, as far as people can make out, fell onto the track and was then run over several times by an automated train, which isn't really kind of like the slam dunk against train drivers that Mike seems to think that it is. I don't know, it's strange. They make them strange in East Sussex on the coast. They do. Anyway, coming back to ex-education ministers, I thought it was worthwhile doing a deeper dive into Dame Andrea Jenkyns, who was all over the right-wing media with a tale of woe that she just remembered from several years ago. And it has all the hallmarks of that kind of politically nonsensical lying, if I can put it that way, that might be characterised by certain people that have a very, very, very well-deserved gong from Boris Johnson. I've put the Talk TV interview with her link down below. You can watch that and see the way that she carefully skirts around certain things which I personally, if I was a journalist, would be asking questions about, and noticeably doesn't slag off Boris Johnson, whose watch this happened under. Anyway, let's dive into this, right? Tories forced MP's elderly mother to do diversity training after she liked immigration post. Yeah, to make a woman in her late 70s do a course like that is a joke, says Dame Andrea Jenkyns, who has now switched to Reform. Yes, you see, but, you know, on a wider level with this, okay, at what stage, at what age do I have to be whereby I can just be excused for being a nasty, virulent bigot online? Is it in 5 years' time when I get to be over 65, or is it in 10 years' time when I get to be well over 70? Because often with these stories, there's this assumption that old people somehow can't really deal with things like, smartphones or media or, not being a bigot, and kind of, somehow magically fall down when it comes to things and accidentally find themselves in a lot of trouble just because they once did something. You get lots of stories from like this, usually from the Free Speech Union, that are very thin on detail. But anyway, what we're supposed to believe with this, okay, is that the Conservative Party, as of 3 years ago, when she was still in it, were this dreadful wokist machine. Anyway, let's read on. She told the Telegraph that Conservative HQ contacted Valerie, that's her mum, late mum, in early 2020 about social media posts she had liked 5 or 6 years earlier. It's unlikely, isn't it? It just is. It's unlikely. Think about that. No. Anyway, the posts are said to have been related to grooming gangs and calls to deport illegal immigrants. Okay, she just liked them. It was just a like, right? That's what it is. She just liked them. Okay, right. Dame Andrea said that her mother used a smartphone to scroll through social media sites and frequently liked posts by mistake. Get her a bigger phone if she can't see very well. Don't let her have a phone if she can't handle it. There you go. Be a responsible adult, Dame. Yes, she said this had included Valerie accidentally liking messages posted by the Labour candidate in Morley and Outwood constituency. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I do occasionally like posts by people that I don't necessarily politically align with because, I'm not 12 and I don't have to live in that sort of I'm a Reform candidate world like Dame Andrea does. Moving on, Valerie was immediately suspended as a Tory member, meaning she could not attend local association gatherings in support of her daughter. Yes. Now, think about that, right, okay? She just accidentally likes a couple of things and gets suspended from the Conservative Party. Okay? Not liking, quite virulent anti-Israeli stuff as a member of the Labour Party, which we know certainly happens, but accidentally by a vitriolic, nasty wokists at Conservative Central Office. In an email sent to her in February 2021, see, I told you it was a few years old, an official from CCHQ wrote, "Are you aware, as part of the sanction you were issued under the party's social media complaints rules, you are required to complete the following training course if you wish to rejoin the party and when your suspension is finished?" Yeah, it's a sort of standard thing. Again, the Labour Party do that, don't they, with them naughty people that like Palestinian things. I encourage you to approach the training with an open mind. Good. You should approach everything with an open mind, shouldn't you? Particularly social media posts on Facebook, and maybe not indulge in what we might consider to be very nasty, virulent, racist behaviour. Just hazarding a wild guess as an example of what Dame Andrea might want to consider. Dame Andrea said the course included questions on everything to do with diversity you could possibly think of, including different genders. Yes, and again, think about it, right, okay? This assumption that older people can't deal with the notion of people being sexual. Yes, I imagine it's very common that grandparents can't deal with the concept of human sexuality because once you get to 65, 70 or whatever, your ability to deal with the world suddenly goes out the window and you can become a raging homophobe, and that's okay. Everyone can just accept it, certainly Conservative Party Central Office. She said that one question asks, what is a pansexual? It's quite straightforward. Pan meaning across a wide spectrum and sexual meaning relating to sexuality. There, see, that's not hard, is it? You see, I'm ancient and I can do it. And added that her mother spent 2 hours, that her mother had spent 2 hours filling out the answers, and added she had spent 2 hours filling out the answers on behalf of her mother. Yes, which is an hour less than she then claimed on Talk TV. But if you think about it, right, okay, she's cheating there, isn't she? Her mother isn't undergoing what she was supposed to do. She's breaking the rules. Breaking the rules. It's no wonder they got rid of it. Anyway, yeah, I did the course for her because it was a matter of principle. Yeah, Dame Andrea, you remember her as a principled person, for me to get back into the party with her daughter as being an MP. Dame Andrea said, to make a woman in her late 70s do a course like that, it's a joke. No, it isn't, I'm afraid. Now, Dame Andrea, what I think we all want to see is what were the posts that your mother was accidentally liking. Okay? Because I'm sorry, in real world things do not happen like that. Okay? I might well like something racist by mistake. I'm not going to lose my job over it, though, am I? I'm not going to have, if I was a member of a political party saying, oh, you liked that 6 years ago. It's not a thing. So I'm willing to bet that Dame Andrea is being less than principled about the actuality of the situation. I think Dame Andrea, given her past and her, well, principles that we have often seen, especially in relation to, wanting to keep the whole horse on the track in terms of her political career, whatever it is. Any ideas what she got a gong for? Yeah, services. To whom? Well, Boris. Oh, right. Now, if there's one thing that says principled, it's somebody that got a gong from Boris Johnson. I mean, it's the epitome, the zenith of what you would want in terms of people saying, well, that was deserved, eh? Still, I'm sure this won't come out any further, but according to Dame Andrea, on the various interviews that I've seen with her, there are loads more cases like this, so I await these with bated breath, but I'm willing to bet I will be going blue and keeling over. Still, we'll see. I'm sure that she will prove me wrong, being the principled person that she is. Please do vote for her in the election that's coming up. I'm sure that she's only just remembered this in the nick of time for the election. How can you vote for somebody like that? How can you go into the voting booth and think, yep, there's a woman that stands for my values, integrity, principles. Anyway, do have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and remember, watch that smartphone, especially if you're in early onset dementia, because it will get your daughters into lots of trouble. And you know what they're like.